In this video, I welcome all the children who are tuning into church today. Thank you for being with us. I am glad you are here. All through church today, we are telling the story of Joseph. And the first thing to know is that this Joseph is not Jesus' dad. We talk a lot about that Joseph right around Christmas. This is a different guy. He lived hundreds and hundreds of years before Jesus. And to get us started, I am going to read from the Bible, Genesis chapter 37, verses 3 through 8. So while I am reading, see what you can find out about Joseph. It starts out with saying, "Now Israel," and what you should know is that Israel is another name for the man named Jacob in this story. Now Israel loved Joseph more than any other of his children because he was the son of his old age, and he had made him a long robe with sleeves. But when his brothers saw that their father loved Joseph more than all his brothers, they hated him. They could not speak peaceably to him. Once Joseph had a dream, and when he told it to his brothers, they hated him even more. He said to them, "Listen to this dream I dreamed. There we were, binding sheaves in the field." That's a kind of farm work. "And suddenly my sheaf rose and stood upright. Then your sheaves gathered around it and bowed down to my sheaf." His brothers said to him, "Are you indeed to reign over us? Are you indeed to have dominion over us?" So they hated Joseph even more because of his dreams and his words. And you can tell that right off the bat with this story, things are not going well for Joseph. I want to thank you for your good listening ears. I'm going to tell you a little bit more of the story of Joseph, but this time I will be using some hand motions. And if you at home need to get up and move around, I will invite you to join me in the hand motions part as we hear a little bit more of Joseph's story. And I gotta warn you, things don't get better at this point. So one day, Joseph went out and looked for his brothers, couldn't find them. And that's because they were off hatching a plan. Joseph's brothers had decided to kill Joseph and throw his body into a pit. And that's when one brother said, "Hold on. Instead of killing Joseph and throwing him into the pit, what if we just throw him in the pit?" And this brother was saying that because he planned to come back later and rescue Joseph. So sure enough, that is what they did. When they saw Joseph coming toward them, they went out and grabbed him. They grabbed his wrists, they grabbed his ankles, and they swung Joseph and they threw him into the pit. Later, the brothers were eating, and that's when they saw a caravan of traders going by. And they said, "Oh, I know how we can get some money. Let's go back to that pit and get Joseph out of it, and we'll sell him to the traders." So they went back and pulled Joseph up out of the pit and sold him for 20 pieces of silver. Next, the brother took Joseph's ripped coat back to their father, said a wild animal had gotten him and killed him. And Jacob, their father, was very sad. He began to cry, and the tears ran down his face. In the meantime, Joseph was on his way going to Egypt. And when he got to Egypt, he started working for a man named Potiphar. But God was with Joseph. Now Potiphar's wife thought Joseph was the bee's knees, and she started to flirt with Joseph. But Joseph said, "No way." And that made her angrier. So then she made up a lie and she said, "Oh, Joseph was pursuing me." And that meant that Potiphar and the other officials came and threw Joseph into prison. The door slammed shut. And it was not fair. And it could be that sometime in your life, you have had something happen to you that was not fair. I want to thank you for your help with those hand motions, and we'll take a moment just to think about how Joseph might have been feeling. Probably all of these things have not happened to you exactly, but if ever something happened to you that was not fair, you might have found yourself wondering, where is God? If God is all-powerful and all-loving, why doesn't God swoop onto the scene and make things better? Why doesn't God send the angels to rescue Joseph? And if you've ever found yourself wondering, why isn't God helping me? You are not alone. That is a very, very common thing to wonder. Here's what I'm wondering. Instead of whooshing in and fixing things, maybe God is doing something else. Maybe God is showing up right beside you in the trouble. Maybe God is doing something else in our story. So instead of ending our video with an echo prayer, I'm going to close by reading us a little bit more of Joseph's story. And I thank you for joining me today. I thank you for your good listening and your excellent hand motions and your fantastic imagining. At this time, I will be reading Genesis 39, verses 20 through 23. Let's see if we can figure out what God might be up to in Joseph's story. Find the page. Here we go. Joseph's master took him and put him into the prison, the place where the king's prisoners were confined, and Joseph remained there in prison. But the Lord was with Joseph and showed him steadfast love. He gave him favor in the sight of the chief jailer. The chief jailer committed to Joseph's care all the prisoners who were in the prison, and whatever was done there, he was the one who did it. The chief jailer paid no heed to anything that was in Joseph's care, because the Lord was with him. And whatever he did, the Lord made it prosper. Here ends this part of our reading. Thanks be to God, and thank you.